Wednesday, UnWoke Nation, and I want to welcome you to episode 59 of the UnWoke Show, where free speech is welcome, all subjects are on the table, and your boys Rich and Tim bring you the latest and greatest information every single week for your entertainment, baby. I'm your host, Rich, along with my co-host right there, Timmy. How you doing, Tim?
Good, and you, Rich?
Doing great. Hey, guys, we are so thankful to have all the listeners that we've had. We're reaching several. Gosh, I mean, it's like I think you just said earlier today before the meeting, before the show, and also you were saying that I think we picked up a brand new country. I think it was like New Zealand. Or
whatever. We picked up New Zealand this week.
All right, so much love to our Kiwis down there. So definitely appreciate you guys. But hey, guys, we love to have you guys talking about our show. We love hearing from you guys, being able to get more feedback from some of the things we're doing, and most importantly, if you love this show as much as we do. But if you love this show, make sure that you are sharing this to other people. And also, we have so many different platforms that we're going on. And Tim's going to share that with you right now. And just in case, if this isn't the only one, I'll make sure you'll be able to tell them about it, Tim.
Yep. You can find us on all the major podcasting platforms. We are on Google, Spotify, Amazon Music, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Google, all of your major podcasting platforms out there. Do a search for us. You'll find a lot of great content out there for us. And we're producing new shows pretty regularly for everybody to tune in and digest. And tonight we're kicking off something I think is pretty... it's actually been in the news a lot lately. And so tonight's episode is the pendulum swinging the other way, the rise... or the return of the far right. So, if you've been paying attention to not only U.S. news, but international news, the far right has rocked the EU. Mm-hmm. Okay. A 4-day election has shaken the foundations of the European Union, with the far right rocking ruling parties in France and Germany, the bloc's traditional driving forces. For the next 5 years, it will be harder for the European Parliament to make decisions. French President Emmanuel Macron called snap national elections after Marine Le Pen's national rally humbled his pro-European centrists in the polls. Germany Chancellor Olaf Scholz, Social Democrats, also suffered as the extreme right Alternative for Germany shrugged off scandals to make massive gains. In Italy, the party of Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, which has neo-fascist roots, won more than 28% of the national vote for the EU Assembly, which would make it a key player in forming future alliances.
I mean, I know when we were talking about that a couple days ago about the I was shocked.
Yeah,
I really was. I was very, very shocked. I know there was a couple things where we had seen, like you had mentioned about Italy.
Yep.
And I mean, just her prime minister. That girl. I mean, she just didn't hold back when she was running, and also,
not at all.
And you know something else? I don't know if you had mentioned that, but. You know, we also talk about the new president in Argentina.
Yeah,
I mean, that guy.
Yep.
That guy, I mean, yeah, he's sitting up there, and I mean, for those of you guys in UnWoke Nation who have not seen him, this guy was campaigning, you know, being on top of trucks, his campaign trucks, and he's got a buzz chainsaw and stuff like that. And,
exactly.
You know, basically, you know, claiming about how he's going to cut all the left wing stuff going on. And the thing was that once he was actually elected, did exactly that. I mean, there was a video I saw, and I guess he had these cards on a whiteboard, and I guess each one had represented a certain department in the Argentinian government.
Yep.
You know, and he's talking about, this one for restructure education, gone. This one for this particular thing, gone. Yep. I mean, you know,
cleaned house.
He completely cleaned house. So, and unbelievable.
So what's interesting about that is we're seeing the same surgence here.
Yes, we are.
In the United States.
Yes, we are.
Right. And so I thought I'd provide a little context around the ideology of the far right. Ultranationalism. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Authoritarianism. Mm-hmm. racism and xenophobia.
Okay, we're seeing that.
Yep.
There's all stuff we're seeing in the news. Yeah,
everything that we're seeing. I think the biggest one here is opposition to social change. Mm-hmm. Far-right groups tend to resist social progress and advocate for return to traditional values. I think that's the biggest, or one of the biggest things in the U.S.
Yeah.
Right now, and I would actually say in the world itself. Mm-hmm. UnWoke Nation, we miss traditional values. We miss masculine men, yes. Right? It's been widely stated. Jerry Seinfeld recently stated, he's like, I miss macho men and stuff like that, right?
Right.
And obviously the Andrew Tates of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody is sick of the left.
You're right.
Kumbaya has gone so haywire. Mm-hmm. It's one thing to get along, right? Like Reginald Denny's like, oh, can't we all just get along type of thing, right? That's one thing. But where we're at now, with all these instances of illegal immigrants committing crimes here in the U.S., they found they arrested 8 ISIS operatives, and they used Joe Biden's the app to register to get into the U.S.
Or even so, over the course of the last couple of years, where if it's not just people specifically might be tied towards ISIS, but according to, if I understand, at one point where so they've gotten at least 100 people that are on some type of terrorist list.
Yeah.
That's coming across the border. Now, UnWoke Nation, I'm not going to claim that I'm some type of scholar when it comes to geographics and also, but I'm pretty damn sure that Syria is probably nowhere close to Mexico City.
No, not at all. I want to speak to the first part about ultranationalism. Mm-hmm. A group that believes our nation is superior to others and prioritizes its interests above all else.
Yeah.
Now, the UnWoke Show and UnWoke Nation, we have been preaching, and I firmly believe this, and Rich, I feel confident in saying that you do, that the United States is still the greatest country in the world.
Yes.
Right. Should we be prioritizing our house and everything that is going on here right now? Absolutely. Should we be sending more aid to Ukraine? Absolutely not. That has to stop.
We talked about that. That's getting really, really bothersome, and I remember, like I said, the famous General Sun Tzu always talked about, blunt sword,
right.
So it's like, in other words, what he's trying to say is that when you're in a situation and everything where it seems like there is no end to something, it's really hard to be at morale. So in our particular case, dealing with the Russian-Ukrainian war, Americans are tired of seeing billions and billions of dollars going over to a country that we know will never pay us back.
No, they're never going to see
it.
And
in fact, where it's like Zelensky's coming back with hat in hand almost every other month.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, I think what my real thing that really pissed me off about him is almost, I would say that he got on television, and 2 things actually. One, the one where he basically trying to say, well, the American people better send us money.
Yeah, that's
bro, we ain't gotta send you shit.
No, we're not. No,
exactly. We got people, starving and dealing with expenses here. Yep. And then the second one is when he got on Meet the Press. It was like about 5-6 months ago.
He basically said we're gonna just have to suck it up.
Yeah, just suck it up. Yeah.
It's like, no, that's not happening.
Exactly. It's like, you know what? It's like, bro, it is no problem where for them to sit there and say, okay, you know what? Like I said, here we don't hold back on UnWoke Show, so I'm just gonna say it. At some point, Russia's gonna walk in there and do their thing. They're gonna walk in there. I mean, it's like we've gotten all these people on both sides who are getting shot, who are getting killed, and stuff like that. Or so. I mean, actually, you want to hear something that was savage? I
say it. Just say it.
I didn't tell you this one. So I saw what is it? There was a Ukrainian soldier, and this is viral. You guys can actually go on Twitter. A Ukrainian soldier, he must have just came off a battle or something like that. He had a phone, right? Turns out he got the phone off of a Russian soldier who he killed. Don't wait for it.
Yep, I'm waiting.
He sits there, goes to the phone, finds out what the dead soldier's girlfriend's name is, and FaceTimes her.
Oh, shit.
I was like, are you fucking serious?
Yep.
Now, of course, they're speaking Russian.
Yep.
So they're speaking Russian, so whoever they had to translate. And basically, the guy was sitting there, she's calling you bastard and everything like that. And he basically said, it's like, he sat there and died like a dog.
So
I mean, wow. I mean, I know that's kind of off the cuff and all, but going back to the saying, it's like,
but it's right there. UnWoke Nation. I feel confident in saying, dump Ukraine.
Yeah, right? I think the United States has had enough.
Yep. The racial bigotry.
Yes.
That's alive and well. That's never gonna go away. All you have to do is log into Twitter, and you're gonna see some form of black hates whites,
white sympathizers, kissing black people's shoes.
Yeah, you're gonna see slave states passing bills for reparations, right?
Darn commie for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
And you've got black people going on TikTok, black women specifically going on TikTok, saying everything that a white man says is racist. They just didn't know they were being racist.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is the type of stuff that we're seeing. Right? And it's crazy.
Yeah, it's just, it doesn't make sense. And like I said, me as a black person, okay? I mean, I'm not one of those idiots to go out there and say like, well, you're conservative, so you probably think that there's no racism at all. No, I realize there is prejudice, and I realize there's racism. I've been a victim of them, before. I mean, it's like, yeah, that happens.
Yep.
But there comes a time and everything like that when we start getting a little bit too on the silly circus.
Yep.
Where all of a sudden it's like every little thing is racist, and also, Tim's got shoes that have white shoestrings, so therefore that's a symbolic way of showing some type of white supremacy or some bull crap like that. It's like, get a life, man.
Yep.
Seriously. Number 2, racism isn't going anywhere.
No, it's not.
It's not going to go anywhere. There will always be ignorant people in this world. But I know we're getting off subject, but going back to saying like with the right,
But that's with that's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Right? The xenophobia and the bigotry.
Globally, by the way, not just here in the U.S. of A.
It's globally, yeah. And then you get into opposition to social change, and I think this is probably the biggest right now. Right here in the States, we're letting anyone and everybody in.
Yeah,
and we're gonna spend all this money to make them citizens, right?
Basically for votes, but okay.
Well, yeah, buying votes.
Yeah, basically buying votes.
Europe, they're going to be probably 30% Muslim.
Yeah, Ireland, England.
Yep.
Italy's having their issues.
Yep.
Like I said, Tim and I, we see this stuff every single day, and we're seeing all this stuff. And this kind of ties back what you were saying when you first started to show off.
Yeah.
And it ties back to the nationalism. So you and I had actually had a discussion a couple of episodes back probably in season 1. And I was talking about, basically almost the definition of nationalism. And so for me and my ideology of what nationalism is when you're able to say, hey, I need to put my country first. Mm-hmm. Okay? I mean, it's like, that's what they have to do. When you get on an airplane, and the airplane's going down, what's the first thing they tell you? It's like, they tell you, before you help anybody else,
put your own mask on.
Put your own mask on. Okay? That is not what our country is doing right now.
No,
it is not putting its own mask on. And what it's doing is that when you have people who are crying about saying, hey, we want to make sure that Americans are taken care of. Mm-hmm. All Americans are taken care of. That our borders are protected. That we like that. No, you're just being racist. Racism has nothing to do with it. Because if you let anyone come into the country, it's a matter of time, which you've already stated.
Oh, yeah.
Going across the border, we don't have people who are just Hispanic who are coming over. We have people who are from Asia, mm-hmm. who are from the Middle East. Yep. All these different people. When like we said in a couple episodes just a couple weeks back and all, when you're having a guy sit there and say on national television, because there was a reporter down there basically saying, look, if you don't know who I am, it's because you're too stupid to know who I am.
Yep.
Only to find out that guy is some big time leader in some terrorist group from Jordan.
Yep. And so, right on that, I mean, this is Marine Le Pen's anti-immigration nationalist party. It won the EU election with 32% of the vote, defeating President Macron's party, which secured 15%.
Wow.
Le Pen has vowed to fight Islamism, deport terrorists and extremists, shut down mosques, and eradicate the Muslim Brotherhood menace in France.
Okay. Okay, so...
But those are the people that are essentially taking over Europe.
Yeah, so here's something that's like that. Because like I said, we're... Tim and I definitely made the decision so we were going to go a little bit more deep in this season, in season 2 of the UnWoke Show. So, England and Ireland and these countries, France, as you mentioned... They got a problem right now. Because here's the thing. You see, the Muslim community there knows that they have the ability to sit there and say, hey, if we feel like getting in the middle of a highway, and you and I both see this, if you have the opportunity to get in the middle of a highway and just to start doing your religious rituals, they know somebody's going to be watching. And they're known within their community to be very proactive. It's the reason why you have other religions and all Christianity, stuff like that, basically kind of see them as being pushovers. But that's what they're doing. So what it is that they're going out there. Like, I just heard something, I don't know if it was in Scotland or Britain, something like that. They had some guy who's some Afghani Muslim who just became the mayor of some city, I think, in England.
Not a surprise.
Like how the fuck did that happen? So, and that's what's going on. And so, obviously, I don't have anything against Muslim religion or anything like that, but it's just kind of like, why are not people standing up for their country? And the thing was that there's a gentleman out there where, I forgot what's his name, it's England, and forgive me guys, but there may be some of you guys on the UnWoke Show, you can write in and let us know. But there's a guy out there, I think, who they want to consider him being some alt-right racist person. And I've actually listened to this guy, and he's saying, like, look, Britain is losing its culture. It's like we have all these things that are going on, and no one's doing anything about it. It's like, he says, I'm about putting Britain first. Just like we have people say, we're about here putting America first. They're trying to put Argentina, whatever it might be. Because our country is being destroyed, and no one's doing it well. And then we get these idiots that get onto Twitter, like that one girl started to say, hi, I'm from Italy. And I'm sorry, hi, I'm in here in Italy. I'm an illegal immigrant from Morocco, whatever. And I'm really upset, and also with Italy, and I consider it being racist. Why? Because here in Italy, there's too many Italians.
Yeah, that makes no sense whatsoever.
Like, you're an idiot, you flipping idiot.
Yeah,
I've heard people say this from Italy. I've heard people say this in France. I've heard people say it's like, wait a minute, where do you think you were going? And if you want to set all these rules or what you don't like, go back to your own country.
Well, that's exactly. And look at what we're doing here in the U.S.
Yeah.
Right? Last week we talked about the Harrison Buckner story.
Yes, we did.
Buckner story, right?
Got a lot of feedback on that one.
And we really appreciate the feedback on that. But he was preaching his own views, which at one time were actual traditional views and opinions of, men go out and work, women stay home, manage the house, the kids, right? And today now we're seeing here in the U.S. this rise in everybody's a transgender in some capacity.
Jesus.
Right?
Yep.
In some ridiculous capacity. You've got...
I had a funny story I'll tell you in a bit.
Yeah, they've got... And we're seeing stories out there of where they're putting these LGBTQ plus I ...
Alphabet Mafia soup.
Yep. Flags on these murals that are being painted on the streets. And you see people, one guy in a truck was doing donuts on the on the mural, and they said it was defacing property. There was another kid on some scooters or a couple of kids on scooters that were doing the same thing. It's sitting there, you're defacing property. And a lot of the comments I was seeing, aren't they defacing property just by painting that on the ground? Right?
Exactly.
And so, right here in the U.S., they want to return to the traditional values, right?
I think Americans are wanting to do that.
And that's what Trump is, essentially pushing. Mm-hmm. He's going to drain the swamp, protect our borders, deport illegals, everything that essentially France and these other countries are wanting to do.
Right.
His message is basically we need to take back our country. And then we're seeing posts out there on Twitter where people are turning the flags upside down saying we're in distress.
Yeah, so for you guys outside of our country, and also I think it's a military thing that basically says when you turn the United States flag upside down, in other words, the stars are actually on the bottom side, or where that's considered as a symbol to other people, or that you are, or the country is in distress. So that's what Tim means by that.
Yeah, so now we're on the cusp because our elections are coming up.
Yep.
We have to really think about
5 months.
5 months away. One, whatever your political view is, or whatever your view is on the recent Trump guilty verdict, he's essentially a felon now. His sentencing is July 11th.
Yeah.
He was found guilty of it wasn't sexual assault, but a form of mental sexual abuse or something like that, right? So the American people, we want, I think, a return in some capacity, not to the extreme of women at home, men working, because in today our economy just isn't going to allow for that, right?
Yeah, we won't be able to do that completely.
But I think our biggest wrestle right now is, do we want to elect by legal definition, a convicted felon as president?
I look at it this way, man.
That's a big social...
It is, but as you could say, also too, Tim, you can also understand too. It's like every time something's happened, at least we've been watching.
Right.
Every time something happens, this man's numbers go up.
True.
Every indictment he's ever gotten, his numbers goes up. His popularity goes up. The amount they're showing, the percentages, just even amongst African American males, is now doubled since the last time he actually ran. And for me, I didn't believe it at first. It's like, as a black person, I'm like,
it's crazy.
Serious? But then you start listening to some of these people who are being interviewed by news, saying like, what brought you out to this particular black males? It's like, what brought you out to this rally? And they're telling you flat out, this isn't something making up. They say flat out, it's like, look, we resonate. That's the most common thing that I heard amongst people who are black males that were saying, what is it about Trump and all? And they said, we can resonate with him. And I think when they say they can resonate with him, and also it's that understanding is like about how bad things are, the way the economy is going. It's like all those different things. They said they can resonate him. In Chicago, you have a lot more people in Chicago now who have clearly gotten from the news and sat there and said, we realize that the Democratic convention is coming here, but we're going to do everything we possibly can to turn this town red. That, for those of you guys who are not from America, that is a bold statement because the city of Chicago is known for being a very staunch blue city.
Yep.
You know, it is the third largest city in the United States, but it is known for being one of the most bluest cities out there. Mm-hmm. Liberal cities, you could say.
Yep.
So, I think, you know, when you're asking the question, do you think that potentially that a convicted felon could become president? Yeah. I think it is. As crazy as that sounds, I almost kind of look at it like down in Brazil. For those of you guys, shout out to all you guys down there in Brazil. I mean, so you have President Lula. President Lula went to jail for corruption. Okay,
yep.
He spent a year and a half there or so, and then the president who was there, a female, I'm trying to think of her name. I'm just drawing a blank right now, and also she ended up going to jail because it had something to do with Petrobras. And also, it's a large oil company down there.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, so you got that. So then he comes back. Then you have Bolsonaro, which basically everybody called Bolsonaro being the Trump of the tropics. You know, he sat there and said crime was going to go down. Crime went down. He said a lot of really hard stuff that was probably very similar to what Trump would say, but things got better. So, but here's the thing. Long story short, when Bolsonaro's term ended, Lula decided to run again. And he ended up winning. Same situation. You had a guy who served time in jail.
Yep.
And who is now the current president once again.
Yep.
You know, so do I think it's possible? Yeah.
Or if we do it, are the voters, and I would love to hear from UnWoke Nation.
Absolutely, guys.
Yeah, you can reach us at feedback@unwoketheshow.com. Is voting for Trump more of a referendum on we want our country back in this whole liberal mindset, liberal kumbaya bullshit that's out there? I think is it more of we've had enough. Enough is enough. We want our country back. We want some of the traditional moral values that we were originally founded on, those principles on, like, hey, it's time to, it's essentially time to take our country back. And I would honestly say, yes.
Yeah, I think that a lot of that has to do with, I know some people will look at it and say, oh, he's a celebrity, it's like that. No, I think people is, just like I said previously, I think people are resonating with, they see how the wokey left is going. You know, people are looking at, you know, drag queens out there gyrating in front of 4, 5, 6-year-old kids in the streets and in the schools.
Are allegedly family-friendly events.
Right. Exactly. And these people, these parents are taking their kids out to see this stuff. And, you know, I think people who like morals and values and sort of whatever you want to call it, and also, they're really, really tired of seeing this. They're seeing how our country is being affected. They're seeing how the economy is going on. So when I have relatives that are saying like, Ricky, I just tried to go get, you know, some the bucket of butter and everything like that. I cannot believe it's butter, you know, or the Crocker or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they're telling me, they actually told me earlier today, it was like, you know, Ricky, I'm spending $12 for something that costs what was it, like, say what, 5, 6 years ago, it was like what, 3 something?
Yeah, $3 or $4.
Yeah, exactly. So we've watched something quadruple, you know, over the course of time in this type of economy, and people are just going like, well, wait a minute. If we're looking for leadership and we're trying to compare, as you and I had talked about prior to the show,
right?
You know, I think that's what it comes down to. I think people, they want to get America back where it was before.
And I think the UnWoke Nation, you know, I feel confident that we want our country back.
Yes.
Now, when I say we want our country back, that doesn't mean that the entire LGBTQ plus movement is wiped out. We acknowledge that it's there.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, the bottom line is like, look, I don't care who you sleep with.
Exactly.
I really don't care. I don't care what you do in your bedroom and like that. That's none of my business. Okay? So, when people hear things like what Tim said is like, we want our country back, they automatically want to just throw out the R word. The R word being racist.
Yeah, I'm being racist.
It's like, Tim's just being racist by saying something like that. No, he's not.
No.
We look at when our country was operating the best over the course of time before Trump and era like that.
Yep.
We saw how things were. We can even go as far back after World War II, which was considered one of the greatest economic boosts we've ever had in U.S. history. Okay? And we see the morals and values that we had during then. Okay? Now, of course, like I said, no tie to what we just previously talked about.
Right.
But this attitude does make people think that, okay, if you had it where you had a Republican president take over or sort of like that, that it's just going to wipe out people at LGBT. It's like, no, they're Americans as well. So we have no right to be able to sit there and say, to have this like total, you know what I'm trying to say? It's this kind of destruction. That's not what we're trying to say.
No.
But we do realize also that morals and values are really suffering, and it's led to a lot of the stuff that we're seeing right now. We're seeing kids hitting teachers. We're seeing, like you had said previously, we got kids being attacked while they're in school just because they're white or because they have Down syndrome. I've seen that crap. All that stuff. What the hell is going on?
I saw something on Twitter earlier today. Where a mom and her daughter were just walking by, and you had this black lady come on and just smack the daughter right in the face. And then you see some random stranger come up and kick the person for hitting the girl. It's like, who in their right mind thinks that that's even remotely okay? But if a white guy were to go and just smack a black girl?
Oh, dude, it'd be all over CNN News in like 5 minutes.
Yep. So it's the right. It's coming.
Yeah.
It is. You could go as far back as Charlottesville when things started happening. With the recent Palestinian protests here in the U.S. and how that fraternity, North Carolina, saved the American flag and stuff. You're seeing a resurgence of individuals that love this country, which has been sorely missing. Right. Kumbaya, we're done with that. It's
not working.
Now it's over. It's done with. And so I'm excited for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
To see what happens with this, to see what happens with our country and where it goes. Hats off to France. If you hop on Twitter under trending, you're going to see the far left is rioting against people who voted far right. It makes me wonder, are we going to see far left individuals riot, if the far right wins this time around, right?
I can see that happen, I'm just being honest.
That it's possible. But, hats off to France. Taking one step closer to taking their country back. It'll be interesting to see what happens here in the U.S. Rich, as always, it was a pleasure talking with you, man. Again, UnWoke Nation, always great to talk with you guys. Again, check us out on all the major podcasting platforms: Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Apple. We're out there. Find us. And you can reach us with any and all of your feedback at feedback@unwoketheshow.com, at feedback@unwoketheshow.com. Guys, reach out to us if you want to be a guest on our show.
Absolutely, guys. We're definitely looking for guests, and it doesn't matter where you're from, or if you happen to be a listener from Italy or France or anything like that, we would love to be able to dial you guys into our show.
Yep.
Hear what's going on in your country. Heck, you know what? We can go even as far as, we start hearing about certain news stories. Heck, we might even actually have you as a correspondent to say, like, hey, you know what? We're hearing this going on in Italy. Hey, let's get a hold of, this particular guy to be able to get us the scoop. And also, so we definitely appreciate it. Remember, guys, this isn't just Tim and I's show. This is your show, too.
Yeah, this is for you guys. So, thank you so much. And as always, stay unwoke.
See you guys next